Hello, I'm Charles Coves, Australasia's passion provocateur. Welcome to this week's episode of the Charles Coves Show. In this week's episode, I ask you to consider and contemplate your life, what your life is about, and the vision you have for your life. Are you building a cathedral or a toilet block, or as we say here in Australia, a dunny? Are you building a cathedral or a dunny? When your vision for your life is clear, setting goals becomes much, much easier. Goals are simply steps along the way to achieving your vision. When your vision is clear, every morning you wake up is a joyful experience because you know you're on the way to fulfilling your vision. Don't waste your life. Build a cathedral. Stick around, I'll tell you more. This weekly show is founded on the formula SA plus P equals S, self-awareness plus passion equals success. Since 1993, when I left the legal career that I loved for a new career as Australasia's passion provocateur, I have educated, inspired, provoked people to pursue their passion, to discover their passion if they don't know what their passion is, in workshops, in speeches at conferences, in one-on-one executive coaching, and in my books, Passionate People Produce and Passionate Performance. When you discover your passion and live your passion, your life changes. And the tragedy is that less than 20% of people are pursuing their passion in their work. Don't let you be one of the 80% who are just going to work just to survive. This show is also guided by Socrates' famous quote that the unexamined life is not worth living. Know yourself. This week's big idea will provoke you to take steps along the road to knowing yourself more. You can see I'm wearing my red jacket. Red is the colour of passion, so that when you see red, you think of me, hopefully, in a nice way, but you also remind yourself of the need to be discovering and pursuing your passion. And remember from earlier episodes that passion can be two-sided. You might not be passionate about your work, but when you realize that your work gives you the resources to enable you to pursue your passion, then miraculously you become passionate about your work. Each week I explore one big idea because I don't want to bombard you with too many ideas, because then you will do nothing with the idea. I share with you resources that I have found to be useful in my life, in the lives of those who I coach. Some humour, a joke, a book, a spiritual tip, a health tip, and a quote that will support your exploration of the big idea. This show is not politically correct. I support addictions, for example. My well-known addiction for coffee. I have other addictions, you know. I used to think I'm not addicted to coffee, I just need to have it. Whiskey, single malt, blended whiskies, yum. Excellent champagne. I love wine, but it puts me to sleep. Anyway, wine is not an addiction, but perhaps Scotch is, champagne is, beer is. That's why I have to keep riding my bike, you know, because I love beer. This show definitely subscribes to the view that we have a spiritual life. The human spirit is a core element of our existence. So if you don't like any spirituality, then this show is not for you. So let's have a review of the week that we've just had. Today being the last day of summer in Australia. Autumn starts tomorrow. We've had one of the coolest summers of all time. So for those of you who are wondering whether climate change, whether the planet's warming, you see, it used to be that planet's warming, now it's climate change. Whether climate change is anthropogenic or not, just contemplate. the planet has been very cool. Of course, some people will say, oh, that's because carbon emissions have gone down because we've been locked up for a year right around the world. Nonsense. Just yesterday, the New Zealand Prime Minister locked down significant parts of New Zealand because one person was identified with coronavirus. One person who then goes to a gym. This is nonsensical behaviour by leaders. Same thing happened in Victoria a couple of weeks ago. It is a nonsense response. Vaccines are in the news. Australia, around the world, how wonderful vaccines are going to save us. And the mainstream media is full of beware fake news, beware the anti-vaxxers, beware the anti-vaxxers who are telling you to be scared of vaccines. I tell you to be indeed aware and be aware of these vaccines and what is in them, and the pathetically low levels and the low duration of testing the implications of these vaccines, which are an RNA vaccine. Quite different to any other vaccine that we've had. What impact is there going to be on your life? And so the mainstream media has an agenda. Don't be sucked in by it. Create your own agenda. Steve Waterson, in yesterday's Australian, wrote a brilliant article, in my opinion, comparing the number of deaths on average over the last 12 months all around the world compared to previous years. In other words, this pandemic, how many people did it kill? And all of the writing that has been published around this pandemic, it all gets so confusing. People throw their hands up and say, I don't know what to think. Well, read Steve Waterson's article on page 17 of yesterday's Australian, and he comes to this telling conclusion, with which, of course, I agree. Regular listeners and viewers will know I agree. After reviewing the statistics and pointing out that this is no pandemic, he said this: so no, self-congratulating leaders, you have not, quote, kept us safe, end quote. You have destroyed thousands of businesses, families, lives and futures. You have cheated people of the highlights of human existence, the moments of shared joy and sorrow, the weddings, births, anniversaries, farewells and funerals that mark our journey through life. You have placed unimaginable burdens of debt and despair on future generations and crafted a dangerous template for all the idiots who follow you. Contemplate that. Do your reading, because the numbers don't support locking down populations. I reject the nonsense of lockdowns. And if you look at the history of where this idea of lockdowns came from, it came from a 14-year-old kid. I say again, this is the first time in history where we haven't segregated the vulnerable and let the rest of the population get on with their lives. Why lock down when there is no pandemic? And then to force you to take vaccines if you want to be able to move freely. And then those vaccines won't give you that promised immunity anyway. The way to know what's in these vaccines is to look at the insert, because any drug that's inserted in you has an official insert that contains all those elements that are being proposed to be pumped into your body. Lastly, in the week that was, plenty of exercise, plenty of healthy living, and plenty of scotch, I have to report. When I say plenty, the right amount of scotch. I hope your week was as good as Julie's and mine. Now, for today's big idea. Before I do, I invite you to visit our websites, covest.com, for corporate programs, for speeches at conferences, for public programs, and charlescovest.com for details of the Self-Awareness and Passion Quest. Sign up for Passion Points to Ponder on either of those websites. An occasional written passion point, but you will receive notification of these shows each week. And also you can buy my books on either of those websites, Passionate People Produce and Passionate Performance. So, today's big idea. In your life, are you building a cathedral or a toilet block, a dunny? What's the vision of your life? Having a clear vision of what you want to create for your life in the future is an extraordinary resource. This vision that I'm talking about can be in chunks of time, in 5 years. What are you going to build over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years? I propose to be around for at least another 50 years. And many of you know that I'm well over 60 years of age. I have a vision for those chunks of time. Some are clearer than others. The idea of the cathedral compared to the toilet block comes from an article that I read. I can't remember in which book, or a story in a book. A guy comes up to two guys cleaning bricks. He says to the first one, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm cleaning bricks." He says to the second, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm building a cathedral." Because the bricks were being cleaned for a proposed cathedral. You have this amazing choice in your life to build something magnificent, something wonderful, or something of no consequence, or indeed you don't even know what you're doing. All you're doing is cleaning bricks day by day, just surviving, just going to work. Come home exhausted because you're low on energy, because you're not pursuing your passion, and you have no idea what you are building. When you clarify this vision, or a number of visions, life changes. Every morning you wake up becomes exciting, becomes interesting, becomes a detective story. What am I going to do next? And the way the vision ties in with the rest of the elements of what I've covered in this show over the last year, and what I will continue to cover, is your passion. What you're passionate about gives you a clue to what your vision might be, what you're going to build. Your goals are steps along the way to building your vision. And your meaning you are fulfilling every day, regardless of when you achieve your vision. The purpose of your life, the meaning of your life, your passion is a clue to that. And so you can have a meaning that is very aligned with your vision, indeed, hopefully truly aligned with your vision, but you live your meaning every day. Your vision is the picture in your mind of what you are proposing to create. Goal setting becomes very easy when you know what you are building. Imagine if you're trying to build something and you don't even know what you're wanting to build. You haven't decided. You have to decide if you want to live a magnificent life. Now, this vision can be for your life. You can say, I want to be a remarkably fit and healthy person in 5 years' time. And that's particularly relevant for somebody who's in poor health at the moment. Your vision might be that you want to build a magnificent business. Your vision might be that you wish to make a magnificent community contribution. It might be that you want to reduce the level of children who are living in impoverished circumstances. That could be your vision. It doesn't mean that you have to create an organization, an enterprise, but the vision can also include elements of the business you're in, or could include your business. Let me give you some examples. There is a dental practice at Somerville Family Dental Care. Two sisters had a vision to build a magnificent, caring, friendly, fun family dental practice. They're both dentists, of course. Not of course, but they are, because Julie was not a dentist when she bought her practice. She was a dental nurse. But these two dentists have a clear vision in their mind. The colour scheme was clear in their minds. My vision. I had a vision when I left the law in 1993. And I've articulated that in my book, Passionate Performance. And it ties in with my meaning, my purpose. I have a purpose statement and a vision. My purpose in life is to be an educator, coach, and mentor of the power of passion, so that you can understand and want the benefits that a passionate life can give. Through my international business, I am a world-class presenter, author, entertainer, and coach. I have a business that is achieving its vision in global markets, and on it goes. I also have a vision for the hemp business, textile and composite industries, with which I'm involved, that this organization is going to make a massive impact on agriculture on the planet that will support the preservation of human freedom. When Julie sold her practice to set up Julie Parker Practice Success, and I've been part of that on the journey, she had a vision of making life better for dentists so that they have the true joy of running dental practices and understand how to run those practices better, because dentists are not taught how to run a dental practice. Julie knows brilliantly how to run a dental practice. And then to remind you of someone more famous, Steve Jobs had a vision when he started Apple. And his vision included beautiful products. And this word beautiful comes in all that he did and how demanding he was, because he could see in his mind's eye what he wanted to create. He didn't know how to create it, but he knew what he wanted to create. That's what a vision is about. That's what gives you a compelling future when you wake up in the morning, because you go, gosh, I'm excited by that vision. I'm passionate about the elements of that vision, and that becomes so compelling that you're never short of motivation. Once you've articulated this vision, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever period you like, then every day when you have a moment, feel what it's like to achieve that vision. Visualize it clearly in colors. Use all of the techniques of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. Feel what it will be like when you achieve that vision. The more you can see and feel and touch and smell and taste that vision, the more compelling it becomes, and the more you attract into your life the people, the solutions, the ways that you can achieve that vision. When Walt Disney's brother, Roy, who was his financial controller, after Walt died and Disney in Florida was open, a journalist said to Roy, "Isn't it a shame that Walt Disney is not here to see this amazing production?" And Roy said, "You are quite wrong. The reason you can see it now is because Walt saw it years ago." Craft your vision. Build your cathedral. Don't be stuck in a toilet block. Don't be stuck in a dunny. Don't be stuck in your life being simply a response to external forces. Create your life. So that leads to the quote for this week. Comes from the Old Testament in the Bible. Without a vision, the people perish. Without a vision, the people perish. So organizations have to have a vision. Families have to have a vision. Teams within big organizations have to have a vision. Otherwise, they perish. Let me say that I don't know what the vision of the federal government is for this country. I don't know what it is for Victoria with this incompetent Victorian government. But I have a vision for my life, and I urge governments to work on crafting a vision, because when they don't craft a vision, the people do perish. My song for the week, a famous version sung by Barbara Streisand. What are you doing for the rest of your life? That's my question to you. What are you doing the rest of your life? And if you look at the words of that song and you think that this is a conversation between you at your conscious self and your soul, because your soul, your passion comes from your soul, your spirit, your heart, and your passion is a clue to what you're meant to be doing for the rest of your life. The book of the week, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits. How to make tiny changes so that you can achieve your vision. Tiny changes in your habits. It's an inspirational book sent to me by Colin Pierce. Julie is a big fan of the advice in the book. Go and get it. Atomic Habits, James Clear. Now, time for a spot of humour before I give you the spiritual tip and the health tip. One thing you'll never hear a Hindu say: you only live once. Next one. I had an argument with one of the 7 dwarfs. He wasn't happy. And third and last one. I'm very good friends with 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why. There you are. Some light-hearted thoughts to bring you back to, whilst I'm passionate about vision, hey, this is a gift that we have. Enjoy this life. My spiritual tip for you: meditate on your vision every single day. And my health tip is to choose to learn about the new vaccines that are being rolled out. Read the inserts in the mainstream media. Read the debate about it. Make up your own mind. Do not be railroaded into taking this vaccine because of the threat that you won't be able to do something in future if you don't. I promise you I will not be taking this vaccine, either of them, AstraZeneca, Pfizer. I do not trust big pharmaceutical companies. I suggest that you don't either. Big pharmaceutical companies have a vested interest in the rollout of this vaccine, and they have enormous lobbying teams at all levels of government in Australia, America, England, Europe. Would you trust big pharmaceutical companies? Think about that. Educate yourself about that. Your health depends on it. Well, that's about it. Another sip of coffee. I hope today's big idea inspires you to think about crafting, of designing a vision that is going to take you through whatever tough times happen, and the energy that you will have access to when you clarify your vision will simply amaze you. Don't forget to visit our websites. Please share this podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel and share it amongst your friends and networks. I would be most grateful. Don't forget to buy our books. Give our books as presents to those who need to be inspired to pursue their passion. And until next week, may you have a wonderful, challenging, passion-filled and visionary week, and make real progress in clarifying the game of life that you want to play. Embrace the challenge, enjoy it. Thanks for being with us. I look forward to being with you next week. Bye.